We have organized the materials in this course into 8 major units. This chart illustrates those 8 units. So starting from the top left, the first unit has to do with fundamentals of representation and reasoning: planning, common sense reasoning, analogical reasoning, metacognition that we just talked a little bit about, design and creativity, visuospatial reasoning, and learning. Let us look at each of these circles one at a time. So in the first part, dealing with the fundamentals of this course, we'll be dealing with certain knowledge representations and reasoning strategies. 2 of the major knowledge representations that we'll discuss in the first part of this course are called semantic networks and production systems. 3 of the reasoning strategies are called generate and test, mean sense analysis, and problem reduction. Note that the arrows here imply an ordering. There is an ordering in that when we are discussing about production systems, we might allude to things that we had discussed in the semantic networks. Similarly, when we discuss mean sense analysis, we might allude to things that we had discussed in generate and test. However, it is important to note also that these 3 methods are completely independent from each other. It's just that we are going to discuss them in the order shown here. Similarly, these 2 knowledge representations are independent from each other. It's simply that in this course, we'll discuss them in this order. So the second major unit in this course pertains to planning. Planning is a kind of problem-solving activity whose goal is to come up with plans for achieving one or more goals. Before we discuss planning, we'll discuss logic as a knowledge representation. This knowledge representation will then enable us to discuss planning in a systematic way. The third major unit in this course is common sense reasoning. Common sense reasoning pertains to reasoning about everyday situations in the world. As an example, I may give you the input, John gave the book to Mary. Note, the input does not specify who has the book at the end, but you can draw that inference easily. That is an example of common sense reasoning. In our course, we'll discuss both knowledge representations like frames as well as methods for doing common sense reasoning. As we discussed earlier when we were talking about the architecture of a cognitive system, learning is a fundamental process within deliberation. And therefore, we'll be visiting the issue of learning many times throughout this course. However, we also have a unit on learning which has several topics in it. There are other topics in learning that do not show up in this particular circle here but are distributed throughout the course. Another major unit in our course is analogical reasoning. Analogical reasoning is reasoning about novel problems or novel situations by analogy to what we know about familiar problems or familiar situations. As I mentioned earlier, learning is distributed throughout this course. Therefore, learning comes here in analogical reasoning also. In fact, learning by recording cases appeared in the learning topic as well as here, and you can see explanation-based learning occurring here. Visuospatial reasoning is another major unit in our course. Visuospatial reasoning pertains to reasoning with visual knowledge. As an example, I may draw a diagram and reason with a diagram. That's an example of visuospatial reasoning. In the context of visuospatial reasoning, we're talking both about constraint propagation and using that to do visuospatial reasoning. Design and creativity is the next topic in our course. We want to build AI systems that can deal with novel situations and come up with creative solutions. Design is an example of a complex task which can be very creative. We'll be discussing a range of topics in the context of design and creativity. So the next topic in our course is metacognition. We have already come across the notion of metacognition when we were talking about the architecture of the cognitive system. Metacognition pertains to thinking about thinking, and we'll discuss a range of topics in them, and we'll end the course by talking about ethics in artificial intelligence. This figure illustrates all the 8 major units once again, as well as the topics within each major unit. I hope this will give you a mental map of the organization of the course as a whole. In preparing this course, we came up with the ordering of the topics, which will interleave many of these topics. So we'll not do the entire first unit before we go to the second unit and so on. Instead, we'll do some parts of first unit, then go to some other part that follows conceptually from it, and so there'll be some interleaving among these topics. And one aspect of that personalization is that you're welcome to go through these topics in your own chosen order. you don't have to stay with the kind of order that we'll be using. This is an exciting agenda. I hope you are as excited about it as I am. There are very few opportunities where we can talk about exotic topics like analogical reasoning and creativity and metacognition, and in this particular course, we'll talk about all of them together.